All right. Just wanted to hop on today and talk about a little bit of my journey today. And one of the topics is where I was looking to find the perfect strategy. And this is a important topic to me, and I think it might be an important topic to you because of how common it is to try to find this like holy grail of trading strategies. And maybe if I share my story, it can just kind of highlight really why looking for the perfect strategy, at least for me, was a big waste of time. And I want to just tell you the reason why that is. And so just kind of step back when at least myself when I got into my trading journey, the whole goal is to try to do what we want to do. We want to make a ton of money, right? And in order to do that, we feel that we have to find the perfect strategy or the most winning strategy out there. And this seeking of this strategy is kind of like chasing the dragon. It's something that just does not exist. And even though we kind of know that underneath, or I kind of knew that underneath, it was still like, what if we can find this perfect strategy? And I think this stems a lot from when, say, we or I started trading, we often fall back to what we're conditioned to. And one of the big things that we're conditioned to and we get exposed to big time when we're trading is the fear of losing or the aversion to losing. And I think this stems back from how at least I was taught growing up. When I went to school, the number one thing you were told not to do is fail, right? That was like the number one thing is if you fail on a test, you got bad scores, bad merits, bad grades. That was what determined for me whether or not I was accepted in society or not. Or at least that's how my mind thought about school. So when I got into trading, I carried a lot of that with me. I was, not so good of a student, but eventually found my way in school and then and became a pretty great student. And I started to pride myself on being right. That I was the person that got either the A or the B on the exam, that I'm passing, maybe I'm on honors. That was what I felt allowed me to be accepted in my social circle or my family or society is being successful in those things. So I think that carries along, or at least it carried along with me when it came to trading. And when it came to trading, and when it comes to trading, the big difficult piece is losing and losing often. And in learning that if you're going to be a trader, you're not just going to be a winner, you're also going to be a loser. And there's no way around that. It's not like I love video games, so we'll use this analogy. It's not like video games where you just get better and better and better and better to where maybe you're just unstoppable. You've memorized the game, if you will. In trading, it doesn't work like that. You can't just beat the game, um, at least to my knowledge. And a lot of me wanted to do that. I wanted to solve and beat the game. And that's like a high for me. I want to solve the riddle. And if you look at least at all of the best investors, all the best traders in the world, they have not solved the game, but you might think they have. They're so great, right? All these great investors, you would assume, like Paul Tudor Jones, for example, you would assume that since he had these crazy winning streaks, that he somehow solved not losing. And it took me a while to actually figure out that that's not the case, that these people absolutely lose. They just don't like talking about losses. And you don't see losses very often, say, on social media. I mean, why post your losses? It's not that, or why talk about your losses? If you're getting interviewed, you're not typically getting interviewed about your losses. You're getting interviewed about your wins. So it can be a huge misconception. So kind of building upon that, it's like at least I grew up being rewarded for being right. I did things in my pastime where learning to master the skill set meant I was right pretty often. And in trading, a lot of the best traders, when you actually dive beneath the surface, you realize a lot of them are actually wrong more than they are right. But the key is understanding that that's not what matters. Being wrong versus being right is not what matters. It's how much money you make, right? That's the big thing. So that's why people are always talking about how much money they made. They're not talking about whether right or wrong. And we often attribute, or at least myself, I attributed if they made all this money, that means they mastered the game, that they have some sort of strategy that's very unlikely to be wrong. And that's what screwed me big time. And maybe it's something that you're going through too. Is you're well, at least I can just say for myself, I would find a strategy and I would work that strategy. And the moment I hit a string of losses, I would quit and I would look for the next strategy. I don't know about about you, but maybe you go on YouTube, over here, just looking on YouTube, scrolling through to find the best. Well, here we go. Just on the first page, crypto arbitrage was too hard until I discovered this strategy. Until you discover the secret strategy. So I was that person. I would always search for the next strategy. I would try to copy the next trader's trades, just assuming that the best of the best didn't lose. And that's just not the case. Now, there might be people who have very accurate strategies, but that's not what is making them successful, is their accuracy. It's how much they are winning versus how much they are losing. And you don't have to be that accurate, especially if your gainers are much larger than your losers. And that is the key piece. So that was a huge part of my journey is trying to really find the best strategy in the world and realize that that is kind of barking up the wrong tree. And eventually started to kind of settle and just say, all right, let's just find a strategy that I like and just go with it and know that it's not going to be the most accurate strategy in the world. And at that moment, that is really where things actually start to feel at least way less resistant, kind of that acceptance. And when you start to find a strategy that you do end up being profitable with, that's when you start to maybe agree that it didn't matter, especially if you look at the statistics. If you look at really what average returns are, if you're hitting average returns or you're outpacing average returns even with a strategy that's not 100% accurate, for me, I was like, oh, well, maybe I didn't need that. And that was a huge game changer for me. And I don't have the craziest strategy. I don't ever tout myself to have the most accurate strategy or the most successful strategy. I have a strategy that works for me. And a lot of great traders that I know, they have the same exact thing. They have their strategy that works for them. And that's another piece is really knowing that in the end you don't need this, holy grail of strategies. And also, you need a strategy that is something that works for you. So that's kind of the second piece is finding a strategy that works for you, because personality type is so huge in this space. Depending on how much time you have available, what your attention span is, what what excites you. These are huge things. What your risk tolerance is, of course. How frequently or how many trades you're looking to have on at any point in time. These are huge things. And trading is so robust that you can actually curtail your strategy to yourself. And that's awesome. And this again is where it is helpful to, try a strategy, see if that strategy does have an edge. And if you have that edge and you're getting, reasonable performance or outperformance to some degree, not anything unreasonable, you're now having a successful strategy and a strategy that works for you. It works for your lifestyle, works for your preferences, your risk tolerance, your work schedule. That is humongous. So those two pieces I think are really, really key. I'd say the last piece here when it comes to finding a trading strategy is understanding that trading strategies don't work in every single market condition. So let's just go into the charts and at least show this one. All right, where are the charts? Let's just look at, say, the crypto market. Let's just go to the total crypto market. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go to, say, a monthly time frame. Let's zoom out and just make this very simple. Okay, so if you look at the crypto market in its history, you can see there are different environments in this market. And an edge, by definition, is taking advantage of some sort of repeating environment. That is an edge, right? So look at this. Let's just look at some of these environments. So right here, the environment is moving sideways. If we start to look over here, the environment is moving upwards. If we look over here, the environment is trending downwards, and so on and so forth. Now this is kind of sideways again. So hopefully you get it. The environments change. So to think that your strategy is going to be a strategy that can outperform every single environment, you're going to be barking up the wrong tree again. And that took me a while to understand. So let's talk about this, about market environment. One thing that took me also a very long time to figure out is why my strategy would work for certain periods of time and then why it would not work for certain periods of time. And a lot of that had to do with me not understanding what market environment I am in. I would try to go long and be bullish in bear markets. I would try to be long and bullish in sideways markets. These are things that are not going to work too well. If you're going long in a bearish or a sideways market, when you were in a bullish market, it would have worked great probably. But when you're in those other market conditions, they might not work so good. And this can be on all different time frames. If you're trading on a weekly time frame, you might have strategies that work that don't work so well on other time frames or even times of day or different market sessions or during different news events. You might have a strategy that works really great during high volume market hours or during news events, but in regular market conditions, they're terrible. Or in economic policies or in economic contractionary or expansionary policies. If you're in expansionary policy, kind of coinciding with bull markets, you might have a strategy that works better than when you're in a market that's contractionary, like a high interest rate environment. And these things are critical to understand. And what your time frame is. Are you looking for longer term trades, shorter term trades? All of these things are going to affect your strategy. So understanding what market conditions are conducive to your strategy and what are actually preventative to your strategy are so critical. And you could have a great strategy for a certain market condition and you just play it in the wrong condition. So it's like, I don't know, it's let's see here. What was cool and what's not cool anymore? Let's say like corduroys. If you're somebody who's in the time where corduroy pants were super cool, you could probably sell a ton of those if you opened up a store and that was your strategy to sell corduroy pants. And if now they're not in, I haven't seen somebody wear those in quite a while, it might not be the best. Or maybe you're at the beginning of a trend and you know how to spot the beginning of trends. Probably not the best example, but hopefully you get it on really understanding what market environment that you're in. So overall, those are the things I wanted to touch base on, is understanding really the dynamics of developing a trading strategy. The first part is you're just quit trying to find the holy grail strategy because you don't need it. All of the best traders in the world did not have a 100% accuracy strategy. They did just fine. So if you find a strategy that is generally having an edge and that performs either at or above relative benchmarks, you're good to go. Number two is finding a strategy that actually fits who you are, fits your personality, fits your work schedule, fits your lifestyle, fits what you want to have with this space. If you want a lot of freedom, you shouldn't probably grab a strategy that takes a lot of your time. And trading has the availability of having many strategies that involve either being super on the charts or having no time virtually at all on the charts. And you can adopt those. There are people who spend tons of times on the charts that are very successful, and there are people who spend very little time on the charts or researching that are extremely successful. And the final piece is knowing that your strategy is not going to perform in all market conditions. I probably shouldn't even have laughed at that because that's actually very important. You got to know when your strategy works and that you just can't find a strategy because it's taking advantage of a certain market condition. That is a strategy by definition. It's an edge by definition. So whatever your edge is, understand that it may not prove as valuable in certain market conditions, at least to my knowledge. So I hope that helps. Just wanted to hop on really quick and just talk about the journey of finding a strategy. The biggest takeaway I think I could at least give, and I'm not saying I'm some sort of sage giving you this wisdom, I'm just maybe even giving myself this wisdom, is knowing that there's no perfect strategy. There's always going to be losing strategies. You're going to have to learn how to take losses with trading. And you don't need the perfect strategy. And really, you just need to find an edge that works for you, an edge that you understand where it works and how well it works. And being able to play that edge is really the power, is being able to play that edge over time. Because we can spend years, I know I spent years looking for just always the best strategy, where I could have had a medium strategy, even a mediocre strategy, and compounded those gains from that strategy and probably have made more money than lost all or made no money trying to look for those strategies. So over time is what you're looking for. If you see just how wealth is built, it's over time. And it's that you don't need crazy numbers. Like a mediocre strategy over time will whoop anybody who takes years and years and years to find the Holy Grail. And that took me a while to figure out. I was like, wow, I spent all this time looking for the Holy Grail when I could have just had a decent strategy, played that decent strategy over and over and over, and actually made money. And of course, you can refine your strategies. You can make them better over time. You can make them more accurate over time. You can understand them more, and that will help. But there's no way you're going to find a strategy that just is 100% correct in all market conditions and works every time. So I hope that helps. Just want to dive in and talk about that sort of concept, and let me know if it did help, and any ideas on future episodes, please let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one.